Prof's presentation has been able to arouse some people. I saw one questioner who is nearly up in arms, but it's okay. I think he's a very peaceful man and he's here. He gives view of how things can move forward. Actually, I'm quite nervous to present mine. I have a lot of slides and I think I can do questions a lot. I hope that I'm not misinterpreted in whatever I want to present. I'm putting forward from my experience and what I think can bring forward Malaysian universities. So this is all for academic discussion here, and don't have any other negative implication from this presentation. Okay, I'm going to talk about building global competitiveness in Malaysian universities. I don't mean public only, I include the private, and will explain what I think would take us all higher and perform better. How do I know? The education minister, yes, you know him? And this is a statement he made, I think about a week ago, isn't it? Where he was quite surprised at the standard of our education. Right?
We are surprised that he's surprised.
He made the statement. Okay, and all this came about because of this report, the UNESCO report, where Malaysian kids, when they go for this assessment, they are in the bottom third. This is a fact. This one, I think the education ministry has to address. I wouldn't want to go deep into this because I want to confine myself to the university's problem more than what is happening at the school. But I must say that my wife is a principal of a high school. When this comes out, she was firing me all the time, thinking that I'm ignorant of what is happening in the school. So we have an issue in this country. Okay. And then this second education minister, Ghauth, came up with some statements to praise our higher education, and he got bombarded again. You all know this, right? Yeah. I'm not making up, isn't it? Okay, and some of the statements made, this is what he said. He said that we are world class because we are a popular destination for international students. And not only that, UM has got a decent spot. Well, the opposition people doesn't take it kindly. This was his statement. Of course, one thing I must point out that he did say that ranking can be useful to show where we stand. All right. So I hope you agree with him in this regard. Don't criticize the minister for this. And then we have other things. We have the opposition Ramakrishnan, who actually said, why are the foreign students coming to this country? Because we have a lot of training programs and so on, not because of our education. Our universities are of high standard. He said this. I'm just quoting this from the newspaper. Then we have Tony Pua. And this is talking about the part where he said that Malaysian University is ranked and UM has actually come up one by one. But then he questioned why only QS, why not the rest, THE and Shanghai Ghauth. Okay? So again, it's not easy to be a minister. That's the conclusion that you make. Okay, but I'm also glad to note that even the opposition, Tony Pua, believe that ranking can be useful as an indicator. Okay, so I think Prof also mentioned about how Malaysian university has not performed very well in the ranking. He mentioned Times ranking in Shanghai Ghauth is now. It is interesting that in US also there is an education crisis with regard to the PISA scores and so on. And just to answer directly the problem that you mentioned, actually this particular report, if you read, gives you the answer, gives you the explanation why we have poor performing students, you know. And this particular report puts query on the quality of teachers. The teachers that we have are not good enough. Okay, and I think that is the same scenario in Malaysia, I think, because I mean, forgive me for saying this, I think the quality of the teachers we are getting that comes up from the teacher training colleges and the universities are not up to the mark. It is interesting, for example, when I was president in Multimedia University, I got a lot of complaints from international students and even local students on these teachers who are teaching them the English program, you know. And I couldn't believe, I said, these teachers all have got honors degree from the universities. And you know what I did? Just to satisfy myself, I actually forced all the English teachers in Multimedia University to take a test. Basically, they are supposed to write 2 essays. It is a 1 hour test, half an hour each. And it is a simple topic like my ambition, things like that. And I appoint a professor from UM at that time to mark those papers, and believe it or not, and the passing mark was only 50. 70% did not make it. So this is, I'm not making up stories, I really did this.
When was this?
Huh?
When was this?
When I was president of Multimedia University.
Wait,
I
10 years ago?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe you go back to Multimedia University and ask them when the things like that happened. And not only that, they all were very unhappy that I did that. They say they will not prepare things like that. So I decided to do a retest, another set of tests. And after that test, at the end, only 30% got through. The rest all didn't get. And these are people who have graduated in English from the local university. This is a fact. So, after my own personal experience in Multimedia University, I'm convinced there's a problem. And this is with regard to the English language. I do get reports of not so good teachers in maths and the rest, but then I was advised by some people around me, don't take it too far. I was going to conduct a maths test. But I did this test, and when these issues are raised, I say, yeah, if that is the case, it's set lah. So the issue is the quality of teachers, and it is interesting that when I read the report, they can actually tell you this particular, they have done the research whereby the quality of teachers can affect the earnings of a country, the GDP of a country, how it will grow. And look at this. You can look at this, how much the economic value of a teacher, because it seems that the quality of teachers can decide what will be the graduate's earning eventually. And the better the quality of teachers, the graduates will end up earning much more in their lifetime. It's a very interesting report. The fact that I have to conduct this seminar, then I learned something. It reinforces the belief further that we really need good teachers as well as good lecturers. Okay, and not only that, if you look at this, there is a report here. There's a report that says that between 2010 to 2050, if the quality of teachers in the US can be improved by half of what Finland can do, the country will gain something like $50 trillion in value. You say, okay? Yeah, okay. So, I'm ever more convinced that actually to tackle the problem of the first slide where the ministers admitted as a problem is to get to improve the quality of teachers. But this could be a sensitive matter because which teacher would like to be told that you are not good enough. And it can be a very sensitive thing for the nation. But The minister, whoever is in charge of education, has to address this if we are serious, we want to improve the education system in this country. And again, the world of R&D. One is the teaching, now we are talking about research. These bubbles are getting bigger. Unfortunately, I couldn't get in time the graph for 2015. But look, Israel is so high up here. And the latest report shows that Korea has even beaten Israel in terms of GDP percentage of spending on R&D percentage of GDP. And where are we? We are quite small here. And yet you look at Israel, how far they are. So these are big bubbles, and these are enormous tasks for us to catch up in terms of R&D spending. And this is from the OECD report. This is the latest report this month, 2015. And a few interesting things here. Actually, if you look at this statistic, China has overtaken European Union and the US in R&D spending. The percentage is much higher now. Okay. South Korea, I think really crazy. They are putting much more money on R&D. Okay, but what about Malaysia? Is there any chance for Malaysia to compete with Korea in this case? Remember 30 years ago, Korea was poorer. But now, how far they have gone. So this is on the actual spending. If you look in terms of scientific outputs, scientific publications that the United States and Japan, in terms of world papers and scientific publications, the three countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, has actually gone up tremendously. And what is interesting that the observation by the OECD report is that there has been a shift towards university-based research across the OECD countries. So in other words, research in the universities is playing a very significant role, more than anything else now. You know? So this is an important thing for all of us to take note of. Research in the universities is becoming more important now. And not only that, another very interesting observation that there has been a brain drain from the West, from the US, from UK and so on, going towards the East, going to China and so on, whereby there are more PhDs awarded, there are more patents being registered, and a lot more trained brain power is going to the East. So the action is really coming to the East. And Prof, your university may be in danger. Okay, so a lot of interesting things happening. The amount of money put into R&D is becoming bigger in the East. More scientific publications coming up in the East, and more brain power is going to the East. So probably Harvard has to move to China or open a branch campus there. And towards the end of my talk, I'm going to show that we can build many Harvards if we want, and see whether this can be done or not. And that will be the challenge for all of us. Now, I just digress a bit. I want to go back to my experience 5 years in the University of Malaya. Prof came from there. In fact, Prof has given me some signal to be closer to him because he was doing a lot of casing just now. So the best university in Malaysia, no doubt, in terms of ranking and so on. The University of Malaya got its research into status 2006. Became self-accrediting in 2010, and then it received its autonomous status here. Looks good, isn't it? Everything here. But I nearly died there. I was there for 5 years. Thank God I still have stamina. Now, the top 200 universities. And it is a sad fact that in Malaysia there's only one And this is, we are talking about the US ranking here, only one, but no Malaysian universities is in the top 200 in the time higher education and definitely not in Shanghai Ghauth. And yet Singapore has 2, Taiwan has got several, Australia and so on. We were together with Malaysia. Korea was behind us at one time, but Malaysia can only produce one, and that is what Tony Kwa don't like also. He was criticizing this. He wants in the QS and Shanghai Ghauth. Why? Why is it like this? Is this a sign of a problem or not? So this is really the issue here. Why is it that Malaysia can only afford in the US and just only one? What is happening to the rest of the universities? And I hope that by this data that we have here, I hope we all agree that we really need to do something. Because I don't know whether this can remain here for long or not. Because I'm not there anymore. With due respect, and anybody who is from UM here, forgive me. Don't tell me. The Vice Chancellor is my very, very good friend. He's a very nice man. So please don't report anything like that. And also, we have a very beautiful plan for the country called the STPN, Plan Strategic Pengajian Tinggi Nasional. You have heard about this? Very brilliant plan. And a very tough plan to achieve. You know why? Look at this. 2 higher education institutions in the top 100 world ranking. And after 2015, that's another how many more months? In the top 100, and we haven't, well, in the next ranking exam, make sure you get to the top 100. At least we achieve 50%, isn't it? Yeah. 100,000 international students. I'm not so sure because when you talk to some people, they say it's 83,000 or 84,000. The minister says 123,000. Which is the correct figure? I'm not so sure. Prof. Herudin, do you know which is the correct one? Less than 100. At least this also we don't achieve. And he told me lah. So even this transformation program, we are not meeting. Yeah, this is a public document from the Ministry of Education. And what more? In after 2020, we are supposed to have 3 in the top 100. 100,000 PhD by 2023. I don't know what's the latest figure. I guess it's 30 something. Isn't that correct? The number of PhD. This demonstrates the sad affairs of the university leaders. But I'm just copying this from some documents, you know. And not only that, look at this. UN 2020, 2 in the top 50. I'm happy I'm not the Vice Chancellor anymore. Very glad with that. But this is a, and we even have a Malaysian Nobel laureate. You know?
Bloomberg.
Beyond 2022.
Beyond 2022.
It's for the Peace Prize.
Peace Prize. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is something that the government put up as its how to go forward. But it seems that we are not achieving some of them also. So the target that we set, we are not achieving. I don't know, I think it's going to be reviewed today. When the new document will come out, I'm not so sure. So again, there is such a document. And let me just explain. This. Luckily, I don't have to answer any of it anymore. But when I was in this Malaysia, I put some targets in the various ranking agencies. US ranking by 2015. Hopefully we are in the top 100. 2020, under the PhD World History Ranking. In 2025, Shanghai Ghauth. That was what I hope we can achieve in the University of Malaysia. Alright? Why we say this? Because from my own reading of the criteria and so on, there's no way the UN can perform in this one yet, looking at the various criteria and so on. And far more for the one on top. But of course now even the opposition is asking why not participate in high times higher education, why not in QM? Because I know it's tough. We need more time. Okay, so this is what I put out there. And this graph here, I will put this. You see, this is the graph for Islam here in terms of publication in SCI journal. This is where UM was, and it's NUS. And from 81 onwards, NUS was steadily rising, whereas UM is almost very flat, isn't it? You see? And this is 96. I was only a staff there. Okay? But the fact is, NUM was already progressing. NUM was quite flat. Again, I got this from some documents, I didn't make this up. And not only that, what is interesting, NTU, Nanyang Technological University, was behind UM. But then it steadily began to rise, and now NTU is quite high up. And again, this is the best Malaysian university, right?
Yes.
Alright? Sunway doesn't exist at that time. Vice Chancellor, Sunway didn't exist, so don't worry. Not to be blamed for anything. But in 5 years' time, you will start to be blamed. But if you see this graph, everybody is steadily going up. But UM, I don't understand why it is so flat. Okay, this is a fact, I'm just making it. I got this from some publication. Sorry? Yeah, only up to 96. Okay, but what I want to point out is these universities, which is our closest neighbor, NTU and NUS, was already rising, and they have gone so far up. Okay.
But actually, if they have gone beyond 1996, NU may be better.
No, it's not. No. Well, we all know NTU and NUS is ahead of UM. And I think their number of SCI publications at least twice UM. I remember this clearly. Okay, so
We may not be on the graph now.
we are still on the graph, but there are far more than this. Okay, this is not in any way trying to infer any negative remarks on UM, but this is a graph I picked up from somewhere. We have to face the fact. And this is the best in Malaysia. So all the university presidents or vice chancellor, look, you have a job to do for this country, right? So this is the message today. And some of the things that I have to face while I was in UM are this. Okay? If any one of you wants to take up this job, let me just warn you of something. And what are they? Now, with all due respect to the board of the university, I think most of the vice chancellors is facing this. And really needs the vice chancellor to be brave and to be pushing hard to get anything done, to be honest with you. Because the board really doesn't give help to give direction in some. Because I always recall this particular publication, which is called Why is Harvard #1? And when I look at it, it is quite amazing how the board of Harvard University really helps the president to make money, to build the most modern laboratory and so on. But this is not the situation, and I'm just stating the fact. Okay, what I went through for 5 years, we have issues like neighborhoods, some hardcore personalities, you know, some racial polarization, and so on and so on. Okay, you will ask me to elaborate. No more. I have email, please email me and give a account. Next, again, in the last few years, UM have been doing pretty well. You see, from 2000 it's been going up. But by the way, that 89, which is below 100, was erroneous data, whereby the number of international, the Indians and the Chinese students was given as international students. So, I don't know what the vice answer, some of the mistake. But when the data was corrected, it was this way. Okay, again, this is QS ranking. Actually, what I want to point out here is one thing. A lot of people like to say that UM was great in the past, was good in the past. You hear that often? UM was fantastic, but the data doesn't support that claim actually. And I don't know how people make that claim. Because when this ranking exercise came into being, UM was never there. Isn't it? So at one time I used to say this, that UM was never great like what they say. Of course, the alumni was not very happy. I get a lot of storming for that, but I don't see the evidence.
You talk about University Malaya in Malaya, not University Malaya.
If you are good, I have no doubt about it. Okay? Now, it is another report and it is on ranking. Ranking has always been a controversial issue, but let me just put to you some of the opinions about ranking. Again, the basic conclusion from all these statements is this, that ranking is important to give us an indication of how we are performing or where we are. Certainly, it's not the precise way to decide really where we are or how really superb we are. It's just to give an indication relative to other universities. Okay, so there's no doubt that ranking will be there to stay, and if there's anybody who say no need to participate in ranking, by the way, a lot of people still say that, I think we are in trouble. I think we are in trouble. If we listen to those sector of people who keep saying, ranking is not important, what is more important is to spend money more on, I don't know, local issues or what. I think the longer we keep on believing this kind of talk, I think we are not going to be able to compete with South Korea, Taiwan, or Korea. Because wherever you go, people will always tell where that university is ranked. You know? So this is the point. And again, you see, all over the world, I'm taking a snapshot of some of these countries where when the Brazilian government uses universities that are ranked to send their students. Denmark and Netherlands also give a mark for universities that rank. Even India, if you want to tie up with them, they look at the ranking too. And not only that, Russia also is overhauling their system based on performance in the ranking. Germany, France, Singapore also is looking into these things. And I still remember the 100th anniversary of Tsinghua University, which I attended that Sunday morning, where the president of China, Hu Jintao, was there, and he said clearly to the whole audience in that people's great hall, he said, I want Tsinghua to be the #1 university very soon. The #1 university in the world. Even the president of China says that in that big crowd. And if China is saying that, I think they are very serious about this. So that is a challenge for Harvard, MIT. And the importance of university ranking, these are summarized from this particular report. Okay, you will receive all the slides. You can read it. Okay, I have to go fast because I have many slides. And a survey was done on issue ranking. 70% of issue leaders expressed their desire to be in the top. 10% and 71% to be in the top 25% internationally and so on. So it's good to run a university which is ranked higher, isn't it? And it is not so nice to run a university which is unranked or not ranked so highly. Because I think you talked about that, and I'm sure the Vice Chancellor can confirm that to me. Now I want to talk about the great brain race, and I think in a way Prof has mentioned this. There's a very good publication by this gentleman from Princeton University where the future survival of any nation depends on the great brain race. And what is it? It all boils down to universities sourcing the best brains into their system. Okay, and this is the secret of how it was done in the US and Europe and so on, where they keep the brain in their country, regardless of race, nationality, or religion. Alright, and you see the conclusion here. As governments around the world have accepted that the key to economic competitiveness is an educated, innovative, and enterprising labor force, so also has been assured in a growing desire to establish world-class universities. Very interesting concept. It's all about getting the best brains into your system and building world-class universities. That's what we are all talking about here. Okay, and this is a publication by this professor there. And this, you all must have heard about Michael Porter, where he said the future is not something that is God given like oil in the ground and so on, but it's all about the ability to innovate and upgrade. And not only that, in future colleges and universities will be the primary engines of economic growth. And here we are in a private university. The Sunway could be that future driver of economic growth in Malaysia. Who knows? You know, and if you make that Prof, I think you'll retire as a Malaysian citizen. These two things. What this gentleman said is the future is all about the brains innovating, and this gentleman said it's all about the universities becoming top class and providing that knowledge, that innovation and so on. This is ultimately what we want to achieve. Okay? And there is a very interesting report by a group of people to the Swedish government, and this report was prepared because the Swedish government wants to reform their universities again. At the end of the day, the report is very simple. Combine outstanding research with high quality teaching. And again, I put this up, hoping that the university leaders here will buy the fact that we need outstanding research. There is no such thing as academics saying, I only want to teach. It must be high quality research and teaching together. We need people who has both these qualities. Alright? And they even recommend for international search for academics. Okay? And there must be greater mobility of people. Alright? First recommendation, funding. There must be more money for cutting edge research. Okay? And there must be funding for improved teaching and so on. Okay? And leadership, rectors and pro-rectors must provide leadership to drive the university towards excellence. I think here lies a very important challenge for all university leaders in order to drive research, in order to drive excellence in the universities. The challenges to a public university vice chancellor is tremendous because the staff, some staff, I don't mean all, could be giving all kinds of excuse. And then in the private sector, it may not be the staff who will be telling you so, it may be the owners of the institution who will be telling you so, because I will show later in my slide whereby many private institutions in this country, and I would agree with what Prof said, is after the money. Yeah, that is the problem. Okay. Because many private institutions in this country, they have built it first for the money reasons more than anything else. So both in the public and private sector, there are challenges in order to become excellent. Now, a university that fit the bill of what Michael Porter said and the second gentleman said, I believe after looking at various models, Stanford is a good role model to look at. Why? Well, there are many eminent brains there. We have 22 Nobel laureates there. And not only that, we have attracted or accumulated $18.7 billion endowment. Of course, this is not the biggest endowment. I believe Harvard has more and so on. But I just take Stanford as an example. And the impact of Harvard to the US economy. You will see this. So in this particular survey, Harvard, is done by this particular company, has produced 5.4 million jobs and annual world revenues of $2.7 trillion. It's really incredible if you look at this. How much Harvard is impacting the because of this professor. Or Stanford is impacting the US economy. This is really the model university wants to look at. So hopefully in future we can be able to ask how much in some way is effect to the national economy and so on. So this is really a great example and so on. 29% reported becoming entrepreneurs and so on. So this is on the innovation and entrepreneurship. And on the non-profits and social innovation, again, usually saw 30,000 non-profit organizations established by the alumni from Harvard. And not only that, I'm not very well. Okay, and the non-profits and social innovation is now. And what are Stanford's priorities? You got it right. They attract the very best students. They attract the very best faculty. They educate the whole student. They link education and research. They do cutting-edge research. They encourage interdisciplinary research. Where interdisciplinary research means research where you have people from engineering, from economics, from medicine, from religious studies doing research together. Interdisciplinary, this is the word. And many universities are now transforming to create an environment where there is interdisciplinarity. That is a very important word now. Interdisciplinary research. And then maintaining a healthy and mutually beneficial interchanges with various sectors. And this is what we should try to create. Again, we must be able to attract the best students, the best staff in. I keep emphasizing this even in some way university, where we need to have these brains in the system. Now, this is a report by Albert and Salmi on the making of world-class research universities. I think it's relevant to this talk. And what is their recommendation? Contrary to what many people are thinking, their recommendation says that a faster and more effective approach to achieving world-class status is to establish a new institution. This gives hope to everybody, right? Prof, good reason to cheer up. Should have a party soon. And all the presidents here of private universities. And I'm going to give you one example of private university that has become a top-class university in the world in a minute. Don't ever think that you are private, you don't have enough money, how can you be top? And I've taken one example of new university that has become top in a minute. But the point here is that we can beat Harvard, even if we are still very young. Okay, let us see how we can do that. Okay. Okay. So within 2 or 3 decades, this particular report says you can actually become a top-ranked institution in the top 100 in all the rankings. Okay. And what it says is that the most powerful accelerating factor towards this is nothing but talent. Bring in the brains. Bring in the brains quickly. Do not tolerate mediocrity. Do this as fast as you can. Okay? And here it says we'll produce type in environments that does all this. Okay? So the university presidents and so on, this is your task to create the environment where the best brains are free to do all this. Right? Simple, isn't it? And in that report, this particular report actually listed some of the universities you can look at where they have actually risen very, very fast. Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, Shanghai Jiao Pohang, and so on and so on. There are listed there, I think, 11 universities where you can take that as examples. And by the way, some of these are private universities. Pohang actually is a private university, it's not a state university. Okay? And that is actually the example I want to give here. This is the size of Pohang University. It has reached in the top 100 in at least 2 rankings. In QS and in Times Education. And student number is not very big, so you don't have to be crazy chasing students. Right, Nana? A lot of universities is just thinking how can they bring in more students. But look, the undergraduate is only 1003 and the graduate is 2001. So Prof Sanvi is really okay. You got the numbers. The student staff ratio is also quite good. Okay. And this is their finances. How big are they? Their overall budget is about $276 million. Okay, so that's about, I don't know, $800 million. But again, this university is in Korea, so things are much more expensive, right? So if we are talking about in Malaysian term, divide by 2 or 3. Is that correct? And what are they? Look, their research grant is very big. Their endowment income is so much. By the way, I forgot to put up post-tech. Pohang University of Science and Technology has an endowment of $2 billion roughly. They have their own endowment of $2 billion. Again, this is a private university. Okay, but of course a non-profit private university. Right? So wonderful, isn't it? There's real hope for so many universities now in Malaysia. Okay, small size university with very modest budgets, not like MIT, Harvard, Stanford, where it runs into the billions. Much less than that, but they can be ranked very high. And not only that, they can build the endowment very fast. They have nearly $2 billion endowment now. And how are they? In terms of their publication, and their patenting, their productivity, the SCI papers, which is ISI index publications per faculty is averaging 6 per year. And the number of citations is exceeding 12. So you multiply by 270 something is now. From there you know how much they are producing, isn't it? Now, each staff producing 6 SCI paper a year, that's really, really good, isn't it? Really great. So, Prof, new KPIs for your staff. So, if you want to see how fantastic university is performing, 6 ISI papers a year, and each paper published gets 2 citations a year enough on average. Of course, some will be much higher, some are much lower. And again, this is a university that has got science, that has got engineering, that has got a business school also. No different from most private universities anyway. Okay? And it is interesting, a statement by their president, whereby they say they are very entrepreneurial. I was thinking hard, by conducting high-risk plan setting research, high risk. What do you think is this research? This research. In other words, these are research whereby many people will stay away because they are not so sure whether to go into it or not. But these universities, what you see, that love this uncertainty. They go for that kind of research. When most people think it's a very hard problem, we shouldn't be looking at it. But they thrive on going for uncertainties. Okay? So this is what is the meaning of high risk. So I remember talking about what fusion energy, where we're not so sure where the direction is. So you give it to the university, they will do that research. Where most university will say, no, we shouldn't go there. It's not certain how it will be, and so on. And their ranking, in just 28 years, they have reached 86, and the Times High Education 66, and in Shanghai, Ghauth 300. Not so good, isn't it? But wait, they will soon buy some Nobel laureates. Shanghai, Ghauth, you need to bring Nobel laureates into your system, right? Because they give 20 marks for how many Nobel laureates and how many highly cited researchers. So I think soon they will have the money to buy some Nobel laureates. When they buy Nobel laureates, then they will go into the top 100 Shanghai, Ghauth. Of course, to produce Nobel laureates takes many years, right? So they have to buy. So I won't be long when these 300, they will go into the top 100 easily with money. But I want to emphasize, this is a private university, this is a private non-profit university, it is not a state university. And how is it in 28 years, they have beat UM. They even have beaten NTU. Yes. Oh, I have to stop. Actually, I'm not going to the cream of the thing. Anyway, this is what the World Bank report says. You do this, create this in your system to create world-class university. Issues in the public university. I'm going to give this slide, right? So look at it, and if you have more questions, I'll organize another seminar. You can go through all these points. But I want to go to the last two slides. Okay? And I think some of these you can appreciate what it is. This is issues in the public university, issues in the private university, which I think you all can agree with some of these. Okay? Public university transformation. Okay. I know a lot of people will, people may not agree with me, but I think there needs to be a change in terms of who appoints the VC and the board members, because not everybody is appointed by the ministry. So everything is very much controlled by the ministry. Okay? I think the board members, the VC all must have real KPIs. If they don't meet KPIs, remove them. Because I've seen some board member 15 years in the board, and when you see them, they don't know what they have contributed. So things like that. So I think we must create a better autonomy and so on by getting really good people to be in your board and good top management people. And this has to be appointed separately from what the government does. Because I think as long as the government is appointing these people, I think we will not get the best. We need a special team to appoint the best people to be on the board and to be the vice chancellor and deputy vice chancellor. This is the public part. In the private university, first of all, put the university in a foundation, not for profit, not for the person who created the university for his pocket. In other words, you have to have your own money, to create a university, and not simply the university to give you money. That is important. And not only that, private universities should also get funding from the government if they are performing. Why not? Because many countries, even private universities get funding from the government. Everywhere you see that, even in the US, right? If they perform, you must give them money. Alright, and not only that, I think there's no need for this Universities and University Colleges Act and the Private Higher Education Act. Just create one act for everybody, I think. And psychologically, that's the one step ahead in terms of our seriousness to create world-class university. But then the issue here is if the board members, if the vice chancellor is appointed by a separate committee, how does the government control the university, right? Simple. I found the answer. And that's the last slide. The government will always have that power to decide who they give the money, right? So the government will hold the purse strings. In many developed countries, the government come up with certain policies and they tell you, if you want money from us, you must do this. So the university is already independent. We have a new set of board members, vice chancellors who are very independent. But if they want money from the government, toe the line with certain policies. That's how we make things better, from my point of view. And certainly, this will have to be the next step in our country's higher education if we want to go further. But if we remain as what we are, I think it's tough. It's really a tough job. And that's really my last slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's take a 10 minutes coffee break and we'll take break.
So he doesn't want you to ask this
Let's have two questions. Two questions. Yes, Graham?
You talk a lot about creating excellent bringing in brains, but I wonder, is there an issue about the range of activities in terms of research at universities doing here? I have a slight perception, I may be wrong, that too much of the research is focused on Malaysian issues rather than big global issues, and therefore people aren't doing enough of the kind of fundamental research that is done globally. One issue. Second issue, is there a problem in terms of lack of large-scale facilities in Malaysia or even this part of the world? I ask this question because coming from Europe, there are a lot of pan-European projects to create large-scale facilities that bring research from many countries to do really fundamental research. I wonder, is that an issue in Malaysia, or even in ASEAN as a whole, we don't have enough large-scale facilities for researchers, and not too much of research is focused on local problems rather than global ones? Is that affecting our ability to do fundamental research and attract the best brains into this country?
Prof, you are the
What we
president.
do is we take both questions and you get to answer the one that will make you look good. Your question, please.
I'll answer with this in disagreement with what you are pushing for. I disagree with for somewhat on the importance of university rankings to our own universities. Not because I don't think they are important, but I'm afraid that the shortcut that our public universities may take is to game the system. So for example, a VC may want to leap up the rankings by hiring more foreign lecturers, regardless of quality. They may allow more foreign students to come in to increase their percentage of foreign students to move up the ranking, maybe to from 100 to 200. How would you respond to this kind of gaming the system?
Respond to Christian.
You are the president, you control and you decide what research to do anyway. Okay? One. Secondly, if you have very good staff, you can participate in many of the international research networks. I know, for example, in the Institute of Malaya, we are into various networks, including fusion energy, all kinds of research. We are provided you have the good staff who can stand as taught as those professors in Italy or US. So you can get into those research networks. There's no problem. Is that okay? So because you are president, you decide.
I want to have perception generally of the country, looking at what's going on.
Actually, whatever you do is okay because you are in the private university. You know, of course, those in the public university can be slightly different. Okay, and coming back to you, actually the mark for international students and international faculty very little. Yeah, very little. But the marks for research publication, paper citation is much more actually. So if anybody is thinking that we will increase number of international students and so on, that effort still results in a very small amount. What is more important is bring the brains to do the top quality research, to produce the patent. That will have a bigger impact. So to think that we have to spend bringing in all the substandard students is not really true. You know, and moreover, now a lot of people want to come to Malaysia despite all the issues, but we can be selective now. We can get the best brains from all over the world anyway. And those people who come to this country and they don't really perform as expected, they can go anytime. You know? So to think that we may be just drawing in substandard people, not true. And that's one. And secondly, there's difference between a very good university in Malaysia with one that needs to be sold. You know, there's a big difference. The lower end university, they're crazy for students because you don't get the student, they will have to close down in 6 months. But not all universities are like that. There are many good universities in the country which some of them say, enough lah, we don't want any more international students. I know some of them are saying that. So there's no issue. So it is actually not very correct to think that we need more international students to go up in the ranking. That's only 5%. But you get a very good professor who does fantastic research every year, his citation increased by a few hundred, that is more impactful. Or you buy in some highly cited researcher or some Nobel laureates, that will push your ranking faster. But of course it's expensive lah. So you get the point. So to think that we bring in more international students, very little mark. The international professors or that, they are good, keep them. They will help. They are not so good, let them go. So that's my response to you. Thank you very much.